Rebel forces in Syria launched their biggest offensive in years amid heavy fighting near the city of Aleppo. And these are live pictures here. Protesters taking to the streets of Georgia's capital for a second night over the government's spending moves to join the European Union. Plus, the British Parliament backs proposals to allow terminally ill adults in England and Wales the right to end their own lives. Plus, 5.5 years after being ravaged by fire, Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral emerges from the ashes. To South America now, where Colombia has intercepted a semi-submersible packed with drugs in the Pacific Ocean in what the country's president has described as perhaps Colombia's largest ever seizure of cocaine in transit. It's one of several vessels intercepted at sea during a 6-week operation which uncovered a new Pacific trafficking route from South America to Australia. More than 400 people were arrested in that operation, which involved security agencies in the U.S., Brazil, Spain, and several other countries. The Colombian Navy says that the seizures have deprived drug cartels of more than $8.4 billion. Here's a check now on some of the stories making headlines at this hour. Rescue efforts are continuing in eastern Uganda, where the number of people confirmed to have died in landslides triggered by heavy rains has risen to 20. More than 100 people are still missing after the landslides buried dozens of homes in the mountainous region of Bulambuli on Wednesday. The Ugandan army has intensified search and recovery efforts, while the government is urging residents in that area to relocate, saying it's too dangerous. Sweden has formally asked China to cooperate with its investigation into the severing of 2 data cables in the Baltic Sea. A Chinese ship, the Yipeng 3, is suspected of causing the damage. The Swedish Prime Minister said that investigators were determined to search the vessel to find out exactly what took place. The Chinese ship has been anchored in international waters near Denmark since the cables were severed last week. China has denied involvement in the sabotage. An inquiry has found that a New Zealand Navy ship which crashed into a coral reef where it caught fire and sank last month had been left on autopilot. The crew of the survey vessel assumed it was under manual control when it experienced steering problems in Samoan waters and did not follow standard procedures to check this was the case. All 75 people on board were evacuated safely, but the vessel is slowly leaking oil into the ocean.
An explosion that damaged a canal in Kosovo is now said by the Prime Minister to be an act of terrorism. There were no immediate reports of injuries and the cause of the blast was not clear. The President of Kosovo blamed, quote, Serbian criminal gangs for the attack without providing evidence. Well, the head of a water company told local news that an explosive device was thrown into the canal. The canal supplies water to 2 coal-fired power plants that provide nearly all of Kosovo's electricity.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that offering his country NATO membership whilst allowing Russia to keep the territory it occupies for now could end the hot stage of the war. Mr. Zelensky said only NATO membership could guarantee that Russia would not attack again. A memorial service will be held later for the former First Minister of Scotland, Alex Salmond, following his death last month in North Macedonia at the age of 69. 400 people are due to attend the invitation-only event at Edinburgh's St Giles Cathedral.
London's Savoy Hotel will be auctioning a selection of furniture and fittings from its suites, guest bedrooms and public spaces. The luxury hotel on the Strand is selling the items ahead of a programme of refurbishments. Bespoke mirrors, sofas and lighting fixtures will be auctioned at the hotel in December. BBC London has seen a letter from the head of the counter-terrorism unit at the Metropolitan Police expressing concern about an application from the Chinese government to open its new embassy near Tower Bridge. It states that if the embassy was to open, it could cause serious disruption for local people, tourists and visitors. Protesters today agreed. Here's Lee Milner.
No Chinese embassy here!
Their message is simple. Today, a protest was held outside the former Royal Mint site near the Tower of London, opposing plans to move the Chinese embassy here.
We got the Tower of London and we got the bridge, and it would detract from the importance of it. Yeah. And then you have an embassy here, demonstrations, the tourists will be put off.
Imagine if there were a demonstration here with the road leading on to the M25 Limehouse link. You're going to have gridlock across London.
The Chinese embassies say their current home near Oxford Circus in central London is too small. That's why the Chinese government has resubmitted plans to move its embassy to Royal Mint Court after their previous application was unanimously rejected by Tower Hamlets Council because of safety concerns for residents.
There are hundreds of residents behind this magnificent building and the other side St. Catherine's Dock. I'm worried about their welfare and security. This is the wrong embassy in the wrong place.
If approved, this is how close residents will be to the new Chinese embassy.
When they put the application in, we studied it and we were concerned about the security arrangements and lack of. Behind these hedges here, there's a wooden fence. That's the only wall that separates us from them.
A letter from the Metropolitan Police, which raised concerns about the plans on Tower Hamlets Council's planning portal, has since been taken down. The Met Police declined to comment further. Last month, the plans were called in by the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government, Angela Rayner, and will now be considered and ultimately decided upon after a public inquiry. Lee Milner, BBC London.
Well, a spokesperson from the Chinese embassy told us that it had taken into full consideration the UK's planning policy, and by building the new embassy, it would promote friendship between the two countries.